We know technology is changing the face of business, but how? Is big data and artificial intelligence something to be afraid of? We ask the experts. What do you think is the future of sales?
I think the future of sales is still going to be human contact with a person or a group of people that represents the buying interests of an organization. It's going to be more informed. Again, AI and the ability to process data is going to give the salesperson a better idea of information about that client and what things are likely to work for that particular client. But at the end of the day, I just think for certain kinds of purchases, having a person customized, perhaps that's a theme that we're going to see, that more client relationships, and that's more than just a title. What it's actually saying is your job. I'll give you an example of why I think this. When you say to people, we need to increase revenue, right? An amateur, a marketing amateur, will say, get more customers, which is the wrong answer. It's the wrong answer. Well, what do you mean? Well, get your customers, existing customers, to buy more stuff. Well, that's a better answer because that's going to cost you a lot less per dollar generated, but it's still a tough buck to earn. Get your existing customers simply to buy more of what they're already buying and not to have orders lapse. That's a better answer still. But the best answer is don't lose customers. That's the best answer. How do you increase revenue? Lose customers less frequently. So I do think that what we're seeing is sales and customer service sort of merging, and I think a lot of the titles that we're seeing reflect that merging. And the idea is it becomes your job not to go out and get a sale, but rather it's your job to manage the revenue portfolio of a list of client companies that belong to you. Now, I might call you, for example, a group account director, but it doesn't change things. I don't expect you to go out and make a lot of sales calls like somebody might have done in the 1970s. What I'm saying is, right now, you've got 10 clients, you're a group account director. Client number 2 currently has a $10 million a year spend with us. We'd like it to be a $15 million a year spend with us. We've used AI to track that customer, what they bought in the past, what we think we know about that customer in that industry, what we think we know about our company, and we're going to arm you via AI with a series of potential offers that you might make, so that instead of a straight rebuy, you can go and say, now, look, I don't want to be da-da-da, not, but we've got this new thing, and the reason that I'm telling you about this new thing is because I know that your company did X, Y, and Z, and one of the reasons my company acquired the ability to provide this new service is we're trying to help companies that do X, Y, Z, double A, and double B do these things better. If you're interested in having me talk about that, I'm happy to do so. Just wanted to let you know that it's that kind of thing. And this is how AI, I think, is going to help that customer or that group account director, customer relationship manager, make much more subtle approaches to take that $10 million a year spend and convert it to a $15 million a year spend.
So with technology now and the customer, if we look from a customer buying behavior, how do you think the rise of technology, SaaS platforms, has really changed the way buyers purchase? Do you think they're a lot more informed? Do you think they're smarter? What's your opinion of that from a buyer?
Oddly enough, I think they need more hand-holding because, there's so many choices out there. If you look at whatever you want, there's a platform out there and you can multiply that by 10. So the sales function then is not about flogging or selling the latest widget. The successful salesperson will be the person who can hold the hand of the customer, guide him or through that process with a view of, at the end of the day, the customer will make the right selection for the customer. And I think the salesperson, the smart ones, will get out of the process of buying, but it's more about enabling and supporting the customer to be successful. And I think that should be then the evolution of the sales role.
That's interesting you use the word enabling. I've always believed that sales is the enabler for a customer to achieve their desires. In relation to that enablement comment, how do you think salespeople nowadays are leveraging technology to enable them to do a better job? Do you think technology will replace salespeople?
Oh, technology will never replace people, especially for a high-touch function like sales, but also a very personal kind of, touch point, because you actually have to get to know your customer. I think today most salespeople on the whole are not leveraging technology. I think if you look at tools like Salesforce and so forth, that in theory is supposed to help organizations and salespeople to be successful. The salespeople actually don't like those tools because they see as being a burden on their time. They see it as a way of head office, keep in touch on what they're doing. They see it as an intrusion of their role. And I think to be fair to the salespeople, selling, I think, has got two aspects. There's kind of the technical side of selling, and I think that can be measured and monitored, but there's also the softer side of selling, which is about relationship management. So right now, I think salespeople caught somewhere between these two paradigms. And so they're not leveraging technology. I think, the majority of them sees it as a chore. And I'm sympathetic to that, but I think that needs to change. But it's not only the salespeople who need to change. I think it's also organisations will need to look at their sales functions quite differently.
So it's interesting you say that potentially salespeople see technology as a little bit of a hindrance. How do you think organisations then can use technology in a different way to help their sales function service their customers? Because you say we have a soft skill, which is all about relationships. Surely tech can help sales people increase that relationship.
I think technology can help insofar as gathering the data and turning that into information to make the salesperson more successful. Having said all of that, I think the salespersons need to have the softer skills and the emotional intelligence to use that information sensibly in the right context in a relevant way. Just because, I know more about you, it doesn't mean that you're going to give me work. I also have to strike up a relationship with you as the customer. So I think technology will simplify the sales function. It should make their job easier. It should help them to think about the world slightly differently. It should present different scenarios to them so they can have a think about it. For example, I could spend many hours with you, but am I going to get a return on that? And I think technology and platforms can help the salesperson to do it. So we'll take it a fair way there, but it will never replace the salesperson.
How do you think sales in FMCG has changed over time to what it used to be, how we used to retail, to how we retail now? What do you think? What do you think some of those changes are?
Well, I think, it does go back a really, really long way, sales in general. So, back to the barter method. But what I'll probably focus on for this question is, around the 1960s, it was when technology started coming into play. And I think it's when, you had more and more competitors and you moved away from the traditional sales or commission and you're moving more into the relationship and the trust of making sure that you actually have a relationship with your customers or your suppliers, but also making sure that you have that trust. So I think the biggest shift that I have seen is that behaviour from you know, moving away into the relationship part. But I think what I'm seeing from there till today is technology, the acceleration and the advancements of tech. You know, today, even during COVID, the acceleration of sales online through e-com, that's where it's at today. And how do you balance that with your traditional sales methods, you know, going out and seeing customers, but also seeing your customers and servicing your customers through the online and e-com channels as well, due to the advanced technology.
Nicki, what do you think is the future of sales? How do you think it will be in the next 10, 20 years?
I think that the big things that are coming our way that are already here actually is all around data, technology, digital. It's the blend between, you know, your bricks and your clicks. So your stores, but also your online e-com channels as well. So I think, you know, the other key points will be around how do we allow our sales team to be able to use the technology that we have and the machine learning to empower and enable them to be able to, I guess, stay competitive in the market. The future is technology and digital, as I've said before. So we need to adapt to that, and we need to swim with that change and enable our sales function to use that to, you know, to their power, to be able to focus on building more relationships and getting more closer to our customers.